Without arms and legs, one can stand tall and strong in spirit. His legacy of hope and inspiration continued to shine brightly, lighting paths for those who felt lost in their own lives. Each life he touched was a story of resilience that echoed the truth. We all have the power to inspire and uplift one another. And through Nick, countless people learned to embrace their lives with love, laughter, and courage. Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Melbourne, Australia, a baby named Nick Vujicic was born without arms and legs. His parents, Desanka and Boris Vujicic, were shocked and devastated. They were loving people, but this was a challenge they never imagined. As Nick grew, everyday tasks became huge obstacles. He couldn't hold a toy, dress himself, or even hug his parents in the way other children could. He often felt different and wondered why he was the only one like this. "Why me?" he would ask his mom, tears welling up in his eyes. Desanka, a nurse, and Boris, a computer programmer, tried their best to make Nick's life as normal as possible. They taught him how to use his two toes on his left foot to write, type, and even swim. It took a lot of patience and hard work, but Nick was determined to learn. Despite his physical challenges, Nick went to a mainstream school. It was tough. Other kids would stare, laugh, and sometimes even bully him. He felt isolated and alone. "I'll never be good enough," he thought. "No one will ever love me." One day, when Nick was about 10 years old, he was sitting in his room, feeling particularly down. He opened his mom's magazine and saw a story about a man with a severe disability who was helping others. This story inspired Nick. He realized that even though his life was difficult, he could still make a difference in the world. From that moment on, Nick's attitude began to change. He started focusing on what he could do instead of what he couldn't. He practiced writing, typing, and swimming even more. He also started speaking to his classmates about his experiences. As Nick got older, he became more confident and outgoing. He joined the school debate team and even learned how to play the drums. He discovered that he had a talent for public speaking. He loved sharing his story and inspiring others to overcome their challenges. After high school, Nick went to college and earned a degree in accounting and financial planning. He knew that he wanted to use his life to help others. So he started a nonprofit organization called Life Without Limbs. Through Life Without Limbs, Nick traveled the world, sharing his story with millions of people. He spoke in schools, churches, and even prisons. He talked about overcoming adversity, finding hope, and never giving up. One day, Nick received an invitation to speak at a large conference in California. He was excited but also nervous. This was the biggest audience he had ever spoken to. As Nick stood on the stage, he looked out at the thousands of faces in the crowd. He took a deep breath and began to speak. He told his story with passion and conviction. He talked about his challenges, his struggles, and his triumphs. The audience was captivated. They laughed, they cried, and they cheered. When Nick finished speaking, he received a standing ovation. People rushed to the stage to thank him and tell him how much he had inspired them. Among the crowd was a young woman named Kane Miyahara. Kane was a kind and compassionate woman who worked as a volunteer at a local hospital. She was deeply moved by Nick's story and his message of hope. After the conference, Kane approached Nick and introduced herself. They talked for hours, sharing their dreams and their passions. They discovered that they had a lot in common. Over the next few months, Nick and Kane stayed in touch. They talked on the phone, emailed each other, and even visited each other. They fell in love. In 2012, Nick and Kane got married in a beautiful ceremony in California. It was a joyous occasion, filled with love, laughter, and hope. They started a family and had 4 beautiful children. As Nick's family grew, so did his reach. He continued to travel the world, sharing his story and inspiring millions. He wrote several books, including Life Without Limbs, Unstoppable, and Limitless. His books became international bestsellers. One day, Nick received a letter from a young girl named Maria. Maria was born with a similar condition to Nick. She had no arms and no legs. She was feeling hopeless and alone. Nick wrote back to Maria and shared his story with her. He told her that she was not alone and that she could overcome her challenges. He encouraged her to focus on what she could do and to never give up on her dreams. Maria was inspired by Nick's words. She started to believe in herself and her abilities. She began to learn how to use her feet to write, type, and even paint. She discovered that she had a talent for art. Years later, Maria became a successful artist. She sold her paintings all over the world. She also became a motivational speaker, sharing her story and inspiring others to overcome their challenges. Nick and Maria became close friends. They often spoke at events together, sharing their stories and inspiring audiences around the world. One day, Nick was speaking at a large stadium in South America. The stadium was packed with people from all walks of life. As Nick stood on the stage, he looked out at the crowd and smiled. He knew that he had come a long way from that little boy who felt hopeless and alone. He had overcome his challenges and had found his purpose in life. He was now a husband, a father, an author, and a motivational speaker. He was inspiring millions of people around the world. As Nick began to speak, he shared his message of hope, love, and inspiration. He told the audience that they could overcome their challenges and achieve their dreams. He encouraged them to never give up and always believe in themselves. The audience was moved by Nick's words. They cheered, they cried, and they laughed. They were inspired to live their lives to the fullest and to make a difference in the world. After the event, Nick met with several people who had been inspired by his speech. One of them was a young man named David. David had been struggling with depression and had been contemplating suicide. Nick listened to David's story and offered him words of encouragement and hope. He told David that he was not alone and that he could overcome his challenges. He encouraged David to seek help and to never give up on himself. David was touched by Nick's kindness and compassion. He decided to seek help and to start working on his mental health. With the support of his family, friends, and therapists, David was able to overcome his depression and start living a happy and fulfilling life. Nick continued to travel the world, sharing his story and inspiring millions of people. He became a symbol of hope and inspiration for people of all ages and backgrounds. Despite his fame and success, Nick remained humble and grateful. He never forgot the challenges he had faced and the people who had helped him along the way. He always made time for his family and friends. One day, Nick was asked what he thought was the most important thing in life. He replied, "The most important thing in life is to love and be loved, to find your purpose, and to use your life to make a difference in the world." Nick Vujicic's story is a testament to the power of hope, perseverance, and the human spirit. He is a man without arms and legs who has inspired millions to overcome their challenges and live their lives to the fullest. His legacy will continue to inspire generations to come.